Richie Bradshaw of Locked On Sun Devils here with a crossover edition. Look, it says it on the graphic right there. I'll just give it to you exactly as it's written. Did Arizona State get hosed by the College Football Playoff Committee?
I would tell you any team in the Big 12 got hosed by the College Football Playoff Committee this year. The thing that frustrates me, speaking specifically with Arizona State, though, is the committee, not the committee in this point. Committee comes down the road. Yeah. The voters for the AP poll and the coaches poll just kind of teetered all year with voting in ASU.
Yep.
They had their first 3 wins to start the year. Teetering, I understand not voting them in at that point. Lose to Texas Tech and then completely out, like not even a thought. They win their next 2 games against Kansas and Utah. Utah ranked at the time. And then they lose to Cincinnati and they're completely forgotten about again. They go on a 5-game winning streak to end the regular season. They barely get ranked at that point in time. And then one of the things that I had discussed on Locked On Sun Devils was, look, the College Football Playoff Committee has done exactly what they want to do by putting ASU at 15 and Iowa State at 16. So that way, no matter who wins, you can justify moving them up 3 spots or 4 spots to say, look, we got them in the top 12. Yeah. At the end of the day, they were always going to go. It just helps that they're the conference champion. So ASU was on the receiving end of this. Iowa State was on the receiving end of this. BYU was on the receiving end of it. Colorado. They were always placed in a situation where losing their games was going to keep them out. One of the things that I really appreciated you said on Locked On College Football was, in the defense of BYU, if they lose their 2 games at the beginning of the year, but then they end the year on, an 8-game winning streak, I mean, this is a completely different conversation that you're having. Yep. So unfortunately for ASU, it was 2 losses throughout the year that didn't let people get the chance to get to know them as a ranked team. And it happens, but I mean, when you start rattling off wins against ranked opponents, you're blowing out teams, and then you absolutely dominate the championship game, you would think that 12 would be a little bit higher. I think the AP poll gave them 10, but I mean, even then you're not really getting that big of a jump. The only reason you got to buy is because Clemson won. And that in itself is crazy.
Yeah. Richie, I want to go back to that point and reiterate it for those who had not listened to the Locked On College Football episode.
Do that.
If you are Arizona State and let's spin this around and still give them 2 losses. You lost to Texas State on the road, which could have happened. And we at that point really valued Texas State. And then you beat Cincinnati. We're talking about a very different ranking for Arizona State, because now we're talking about an 8 or a 9-game win streak. That Texas Tech loss being the last one. If you beat Cincinnati with your quarterback, by the way, that's something that I know Kenny Dillingham was able to press post-game, then Arizona State is squarely in the top 10. Losses go away. That loss to Texas State would have been the same as it was for NIU and Notre Dame. Those aren't. We don't even talk about them anymore. They happened in the first month of the season. Who cares? You get a mulligan. We move on. And now Arizona State's in the college football playoff. I want to know from your perspective. And look, I can only assume for you, as someone who has covered sports in that part of the country, that you've got a soft spot for Boise State. I think everybody does, dating back to 2007, right? You're like, okay, you're always going to root for them as the underdog. But now when the orphan starts stealing mom and dad's money that you're rightfully owed, it's like, oh, shoot, dude, you're getting a little bit too big for your britches here. What are your thoughts on Boise State being above Arizona State?
Dude, they're hopping in my Locked On Sun Devils live streams. First of all, shout out to you guys for tuning in. I appreciate everybody tuning in. I don't care if you're a U of A fan. If you're tuning in and giving me love, right back at you. But they're talking about how much better they are than ASU. And my thing that's just funny to me is, like, I don't disagree with you with the Mountain West is not terribly far behind other conferences, but they are behind other conferences. If you stack up the Big 12 from 1st to 16 and place them against the Mountain West from 1st to however many teams they have, the Big 12 is getting more wins. You probably do that with the Big 10 too, but that's neither here nor there. That's a whole other conversation, a can of worms to open. Boise State dominated who they were supposed to play this year, and they went toe-to-toe with Oregon. They deserved their ranking. They deserved to be as high as they were. The thing that bugs me about them being ranked higher than ASU is the inconsistencies that you have had all year long with the college football playoff, because they will tell you that your record is everything. Okay, so that's why Boise State is up there, right? They're 12-1. I understand that. Well, how come there's 3 9-3 SEC teams that are ahead of ASU? Oh, well, their strength of schedule is better. Their level of competition is better. Okay, I hear you there. So why is Boise State ahead of us? Well, they won more football games. Well, we won more football games in Alabama. Yeah, well, Alabama's Alabama. It's just the inconsistencies that they have put against themselves. And it gets to a point where you have to look at this objectively and be like, ASU's probably just a better football team. Let's take Ashton Jeanty off of that football team. They're still a bowl team. That's still a good football team. They're going to the playoff because of Ashton Jeanty. Take Cam Scadaboo off of ASU. We saw them beat UCF, and with the way that we have seen them play football games this year with Jordan Tyson and Sam Levitt, I'm not saying you're an 11-win football team. You're definitely not. I would still take a Cam Scadaboo less Arizona State Sun Devils team to be a Boise or a Ashton Jeanty less Boise State team. So vice versa, you give us both those players. I'm taking ASU to win that game.
I want to reiterate the earlier point by taking Army, for example. I think the AAC is a better conference in the Mountain West.
Yes.
If Army loses to Notre Dame in week 2, finishes 12-1, having beaten Tulane to win the conference championship, they're ahead of Boise State. The best win that Boise State has was an early loss to Oregon. That's what we're hanging our hat on. They lost. That add one to that column. And for Army, they have the same record in a better conference with a conference championship and are 20 spots, 10, 15 spots behind whatever it is, double-digit spots behind where Boise State is. It's a matter of where you lose your games. And for some teams, you're just not hurt by a loss. Boise State, they were helped by their loss to Oregon, which makes no sense to me. It's what have you done for me lately? Arizona State has certainly done enough lately to get where they are and should have been put above Boise State by every single metric that exists when we start to analyze these teams. We need to know moving forward. Commissioners have asked this. What's the criteria? Tell us. We will schedule to meet your criteria. There is no solid criteria. Coming up, a title for Arizona State. What is the path? This is a Locked On Big 12 Locked On Sun Devils crossover, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Omaha. Today's show is brought to you by Omaha Steaks. Nothing delivers comfort and joy quite like the unrivaled quality and taste of Omaha Steaks. It's guaranteed perfection at every single bite. Right now, you can save on unforgettable gifts with 50% off. 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, score an extra $30 off with promo code college. With 5 generations of experience, they consistently deliver the world's best steak experience, and the gifting experts at Omaha Steaks have made it easy to deliver the perfect gift with thoughtfully curated gift packages featuring gourmet favorites. From legendary steaks to mouth-watering desserts and more, save 50% site-wide for a limited time at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners get an extra $30 off with promo code college. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com and an extra $30 off with promo code college. Minimum purchase may apply. Omaha Steaks. Dude, I live in Savannah. Not a single good steakhouse in Savannah. So I go to Omaha Steaks, and you can too today.